Joe talks about Joe. And now, your host, Joe Slepsky.
Hey, welcome back to Joe on Joe. It's me, Joe Slepsky, your host, where every week we watch an episode of G.I. Joe and comment on it with a new friend. And this week, I am so excited because what a lot of my listeners probably don't know, because I haven't really talked about it much, is I got my start in podcasting from the little lady that's sitting across the table from me right now. Mm-hmm. I was out here in California, and I answered an ad for an intern for a podcast, having no idea what it was. I was a fan of podcasting, but didn't know how the sausage was packed. and I walked into this young lady's home now 4.5 years ago, maybe, and she welcomed me in with open arms and became a very good friend of mine. And she taught me everything that I know about podcasting because her name is Christine Blackburn. And she is the host of Storyworthy, which is one of the leading storytelling podcasts out there. Find it on iTunes. You can go to storyworthypodcast.com. She's the host, the writer, the creator. She's been doing Storyworthy for 7 years. And she is a whirlwind of talent. Christine Blackburn, welcome to Joe on Joe.
Wow, that is so complimentary of you.
Well, it's all true.
That's so kind. And you were my very best intern for sure. For sure. And you've gone the furthest.
Well, let's talk more about me.
Well, it's like it's like you really wanted to learn, and that's the whole thing. You know, if you want to do something, well, what you better do is find out about it. How do you do that? Well, who's doing it, and how do they do it? You can't look at it like it's a competition. It has to be that, you know, there's room enough for everybody. And if you have knowledge, you know, help me. Like, for instance, you're telling me I taught you. Well,
yeah.
You know that the previous 15 minutes before we started talking on the air here, you told me about all your equipment. So
sure,
obviously we're sharing.
There's always room to learn.
Oh, my gosh. Always. You're the one who got me. I think you got me on Libsyn.
I did. I got you tracking your plays.
I wasn't tracking.
So we could
That's
then
right.
Monetize it. Yeah,
can you believe that?
Yeah.
And then I've gone from Libsyn. I was with them for 2 years, and then I've been with Art19 for the last 2 years. So it's a journey. Podcasting and shows like this, they're always changing, they're growing, moving forward. It's never stagnant. And if it is stagnant, your show's probably not going to last.
Yeah.
You know?
So with Storyworthy, you get a new guest on every week, and
Yep.
you talk to them a little bit, and then you hear their story, and let's talk about some of the great guests you've had on there.
Oh, man, I'm so fortunate. I've had some amazing comedians on. They're my favorite people to interview because comedians understand brevity. They understand how to get to the point.
Yeah.
And they're funny. So I've had on amazing talents like Bobcat Goldthwait, Todd Glass, Dave Koechner, Dana Gould, Pauly Shore was on, Yakov Smirnoff.
You've had Adam Carolla on the show.
Adam Carolla was on, yeah. So really interesting people, and I ask them to bring any true story that they have. Mm-hmm. So when you ask somebody, you know, hey, tell me your best true story, it's usually going to be pretty good because most of my guests are over 40. So if you've already lived 40 years,
had a little life experience.
You probably have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And so that really makes it fun for me because really they're bringing the content. I'm just kind of facilitating the conversation.
Yeah, and you're a fantastic facilitator of that conversation.
Thanks.
If you guys are out there, I urge you, please go to iTunes or Stitcher or anywhere you grab your podcast and look for Storyworthy. You're going to find it because it's great. Like I know you have a really good reach. And there's actually, well, real quick, let's find you on Twitter. You're at Storyworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Twitter, that's Facebook, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also, if you're interested in finding me, you can find me at Joe on Joe Pod at Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You could send me an email at joeandjoepod@gmail.com if you're a fan and want to be on the show. We've had 3 fans so far from
that's
across
awesome.
from across
I
the
love
country.
that.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I didn't expect to be doing early on, and I love it. I love having
that sets
people
it
reach
apart.
out.
Podcasts
So
usually don't do that, so that's awesome.
And you have a special connection to G.I. Joe because your announcer.
Oh, right.
Your
I know you were going there.
announcer
That's right, Bill Ratner.
Is Bill Ratner. And
Flint.
everyone listening knows who Bill Ratner is. He's the voice of Flint. He's a friend of yours.
He's a very good friend of mine.
I know him a little bit socially. He's super nice.
He's amazing, and his wife is wonderful as well. My daughter took art classes from his wife, Aleka, for years. So they're just a very talented, creative family. His daughters are wonderful, and he is just an amazing talent who continues to work constantly.
Doesn't he, though? Like,
Bill
he's
works
always
constantly.
He's always performing like live. He's writing books.
He's all over the world.
And his daughter's super creative too, right?
Yeah,
like,
the whole family is.
And when I first met him, he was so open to me being a crazy G.I. Joe fan.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He called my friend Matt and left him a voicemail as Flint. And
that was so damn cool.
It was amazing.
Why don't you have him do you should have him do a voiceover for this. He'll do it.
Yeah, I want to reach out. And I want to find a special Flint episode and get him on the show.
Oh, he'll do it. Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm sure he'll do a promo for you as well.
Oh, great.
That would be wonderful. You know, I met him during The Moth, which is a storytelling show.
We've had Gary Buckler on here.
Storytelling show. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. So Bill, I met him there, and then I asked him to be the voice of Storyworthy. So he does all the promos for Storyworthy. Yeah. And so he's like, I hear him every week. I hear him like in my head and on my computer, 20 times a week.
You know what's great about that? I mean, you think, so these days, I think when you talk about voiceovers, and you've done some voice work, right?
Sure.
We talk about voiceovers in movies, a lot of the mainstream movies, they tend to get celebrities because they want to sell tickets. So they're like, this huge movie star is voicing this character, and you hear their voice. But when you talk about voice acting, it's so different. So I heard
amazing
your Storyworthy opening. I was with you for months before I ever met Bill, and never knew that was Bill. His voice. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't. It's truly act. He's not Flint. He's Bill Ratner introducing story. Or he's doing a version of Bill Ratner, and then he slips into his in person. He'll slip into his Flint for you, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just, he's a consummate voice actor because
he really
brings something different.
He really is. Yeah. And he's taught me so much. He has taught me, he helped me do my voiceover demo tape. And one of the things he says to me is, Christine, you are on top of the mountain and they are groveling to hear what you have to say.
It's true.
And you let the microphone do everything. You don't have to do anything. So Bill has this control over his voice that I envy. I envy beyond belief, because that's very hard to do without getting people to tune out or be bored. Or so to have a compelling voice in not a rush tone and not a loud tone is not easy.
And so you've been doing this for 7 years.
Yeah.
And you're wearing I mean, there's honestly so much to talk to Christine Blackburn about. And I really mean this. You've led such a life. And one, you're sweet and you're lovely to hang out with and spend time with. But you wrote a book called Storyworthy Life.
It's called Pitt to LAX, My Storyworthy Life. Pitt references Pittsburgh, where I'm from, and LAX
wearing her
is
Steelers jersey right now.
I am.
We're recording this on Super Bowl Sunday.
So it's the only football shirt I have, so I instinctively put it on. I put this shirt on. Look, the player on the back of my shirt, Randall L., I think he's dead.
Antoine Randall L.
I don't even know if the guy on my shirt is alive. By the way, the only other football jersey I want is the one for the Steelers players, the Steeler player in the 70s, Jack Ham.
Yeah.
Because I just want Ham on the back of my shirt.
Of course.
I think that would look good.
That'd be great. And they can find your book. It's on
Pitt to LAX, My Storyworthy Life. Yeah, that's Amazon, on right? ChristineBlackburn.com is the best place to get it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and you tell a series of short stories about just these crazy adventures.
Going from Pittsburgh to, from Pittsburgh, how did I get from my hometown in Pittsburgh to Los Angeles? You're from Chicago. You know how it is when you're from the Midwest or really any place else in the world. Usually to get to LA, there's a story behind that because it's not easy. And a lot of people, as you know, it's like a swim or sink town, right? You're either gonna make it or you're not within 6 months or a year. And I don't mean money. I mean the mentality of staying here and putting your roots down and saying, this is where I live now, enjoying your community, living life, not just dying to be a celebrity or to do. I
totally agree. I find that when the people who have bad experiences, people have bad experiences moving everywhere.
Yeah.
The ones that here, they put so much emphasis on in 6 months or in 2 years or whatever the time frame is, I need to be a certain level of success. Yeah. And that's not the way my wife and I have approached it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way you've approached it. It's more of, I want to feel comfortable where I'm living. I want to feel comfortable. I want to be a part of the community that I'm living in.
Right.
And success or even just employment or all that stuff, that'll follow.
Yeah.
That's you. That goes wherever you go. How are you going to enjoy the life you're living? And when people can do that and assimilate, then they tend to stick
Right.
around
But
and
I
enjoy
think
it.
that when you move here, because I remember saying, I'm going to give it 3 years. I don't know why I said that number. I also remember saying, I need to be married again by the time I'm 35. You know what I mean? Like, again, of course, it was my second marriage. But the point is, like, for some reason, as we're growing and we're younger, we're gaining experiences and maturing, obviously, we don't always have our shit together. So we put expectations on ourselves and we put limits and we give ourselves safety nets. So to say, I'm going to give it 3 years tells me it gives me a little bit of a cushion inside. Like, it's okay. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I go back.
Right.
But that never really works. I mean, if it does, you weren't meant to be here.
Yeah. So let's talk G.I. Joe.
Yeah, let's. I'm ready to watch an episode. I'm excited.
When you were growing up, what were you into?
Okay, well, wait. My brother, there's 5 girls in my family and 1 boy.
Yeah.
And my brother, first of all, he's the only one that didn't have to wear hand-me-downs. He's the only one that got his own room. So, yes, the house was full.
Hey, jealousy.
Yeah, sure. The house was full of estrogen and women, but he got his own toys, including G.I. Joe dolls. And one time when he turned 8, maybe he was 9.
And we're talking the 12-inch old school original G.I. Joes,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Oh, I could picture it so well. It's not even funny. I could feel that beard. It had like that velour feel, and the head was a plastic feel, but the beard was a velour feel, and it had the string. You pulled the string, and he would speak, Master Sergeant G.I. Joe, or I'm not sure, but. Then at his birthday party, some kid was playing with it, and my brother lost it and locked himself in his bedroom and didn't come out the rest of the birthday party.
Because someone else was playing with his G.I. Joe.
That's exactly right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Talk about the deep trauma that resulted from his G.I. Joe exposure.
One Christmas, my sister got this doll called Baby Alive. And
I remember that.
Do you know Baby Alive?
I do know that. It's super creepy, right?
It was super creepy, right? But I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got Baby Alive. Let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it. And she gave it to me. And I pulled the string. I pulled the string right out of that Baby Alive. and it broke the doll. And my sister
the head spun
lost
180
it.
degrees and was like, why are you pulling my string out?
And everybody, it was a Christmas. It was not a good Christmas to remember. It was very sad.
What were your Christmases like? What toys did you get? Or what cartoon shows did you watch?
I watched on Saturday mornings, I watched Super Friends, at 8 o'clock. Yeah, I watched that every Saturday morning. And I loved Bugs Bunny, and I loved Woody Woodpecker. God, I'm so old, right? Isn't that amazing?
No, those are great.
I know, but it's amazing that was what we.
Well, it's the
was.
evolution of children's entertainment is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because like you so yeah, we had in the 70s there were 4 choices.
Very
literally
little.
you watched Super Friends, you watched old Bugs Bunny, you watched old Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And Flintstones
and Scooby-Doo was big.
Scooby-Doo, yeah. And then you get to the 80s, and the 80s was all about marketing to kids, and it was all about how can we monetize these kids with He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe and all that stuff. And then the regulations got involved, and they were like, well, you can't do this, and you can't sell to kids, you can't sell to that. And then Saturday morning eventually disappears, and it becomes every day.
It's true.
And then now there's on demand, so there is no Saturday morning. There's no programming at all.
Right.
Really. There's no collective experience for kids to have growing up. It's always everyone's going to watch something a little different.
Well, television is sort of like podcasting in a way. There are topical shows that people do watch in real time, like the news and sports. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, even like the Goldbergs, like my daughter and I watch, or Speechless, we don't watch those in real time. We watch them the next day because we get them on Hulu.
Right.
So, or whatever the situation. In other words, so television has kind of turned into podcasting. You don't have to hear it when it drops. You can watch it when you want.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
My daughter and I watched, every episode of The Simpsons, every episode of Bob's Burgers. We're big fans of those animated shows.
And Alabama's 9?
10. I
now.
know, she's turned
adorable.
10. I know she is.
And so what is she like? What cartoons does she watch? So
like
My
I
Little
said,
Pony,
Bob,
or she watch Adventure Time, or-
Like I said, Bob's Burgers.
Oh, yeah, so
and
like
Simpsons.
the
Bob's
mature
Burgers
fare.
and Simpsons. Oh yeah. But luckily, my daughter has a great sense of humor, and so the Simpsons and Bob's Burgers, and we can watch a lot of things together.
Well, that's actually something I'm very much in favor of having your children watch Up.
Oh yeah.
So G.I. Joe was a little more advanced.
Yeah.
Cartoons back then, they didn't pander as much. I mean, they're simplified in some ways, but they didn't pander. They didn't like talk baby talk to you.
Yeah.
It forces you as a kid to, I want to understand what they're talking about there. So I want to learn a little more. Wherein when the programming, I think when the programming panders to them and is more like Wow Wow Wubsy kind of stuff or Dora the Explorer stuff, it's not challenging them. It's making them feel safe and happy.
Yeah.
But it's not saying to them, hey, we just used a word that you may not know.
I can also see
need to
kids.
seek that out.
I can also see kids watching more smarter shows more than once, more frequently.
Yes.
In other words, like you can watch a Simpsons episode 5 times and get a little more
Get
out
all
of
the crazy stuff. Yeah.
and keep getting more out of it.
Totally.
Because it's smart.
Yeah.
But how many Jessies do you
multi-layered.
really? Yeah. How many Jessies do you need to see? Really?
That's the question of the day. And with that, we're going to watch an episode called Hearts and Minds. And it's got a romance subplot to it.
Okay.
It's a character focus. So there's actually really only 2 main characters in it, two main Joes, Footloose and Dusty. And it's in my top 20 episodes. Like it's fun. I remember this.
Should I get a paper and pencil?
No. I think we're just gonna watch it, and anything you see you want to comment on, you enjoy.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So with that in mind, Christine Blackburn, host of Storyworthy, thank you, and we're gonna watch some G.I. Joe.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to have Bill on. I can't wait. Have him do a thing. He'll do it. To listen to Joe Slupsy. Joe. Listen to Joe. Listen up, comrade. Joe on Joe.
Have you seen the opening for this?
Yes.
So what's your experience with the cartoon? Have you seen this before? Like.
We started. I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, no, we're rolling. Yeah, we're rolling. Have you seen the show before, or what's?
I've seen, because I watched because I was prepping for your show.
Oh my gosh, what episode did you?
So I watched the last 2. Dude, I can't tell you what I don't remember what they were.
The code name for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose.
Because I'm watching and it's just all taking me back to childhood. My brother.
Do you know who any of these characters are? Because which is totally fine.
Not really.
I'll do intros for you.
Okay.
So the opening is classic and it's great. The song's catchy, right? It's an amazing song.
Yeah, that's a
Flint.
classic. Yeah.
Right there.
That's a classic image.
Today's episode is Hearts and Cannons. I'm sorry, I called it Hearts and Minds. It's Hearts and Cannons. It's written by Alfred Piegel and Larry Houston. So we've got a Cobra Fang. They're attacking a unnamed Middle Eastern village, right? That's Major Blood. So it looks like it could be somewhere in Iraq or Afghanistan, right? Probably in the 80s. This is probably Afghanistan, I would think.
Show them to their new place of employment.
Major Blood, he's a mercenary. And they're kidnapping all of these townsfolk.
It just is amazing how quick they get into the plot.
Oh, they don't waste time. Yeah.
You shall suffer
There's no first act. They go from the opening of G.I. Joe and this music, then they go to the second act.
Mm-hmm. And there's rarely character introductions either. Like they'll drop their names in there, but they don't give you motivation. They just, these are good guys, these are bad guys, and we're going to go into it. Well, right now we've got Wild Bill. He's flying a C-130 over the desert landscape they were at, and there's Cover Girl in there, and Dusty and Footloose, and they get hit by a lightning strike. So Wild Bill's the pilot, and he's awesome. So they start dropping cargo, and including the Mauler tank, because they have to lose weight on the plane so they don't crash.
Well, that's ridiculous. Oh, I see. Now they put the parachutes out.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, just dropping weight's not going to help that plane not fall out of the sky.
Well, he needs to lose. That's the key here. He needs to lose another 400 pounds. So the 2 guys are like, "Hey, we'll jump." And
I wonder how they came up with that number.
Well,
They know.
a couple of healthy military, strapping dudes. So you'll love this. Footloose on the left.
Yeah.
He's the guy in the camo with the helmet with the little leaves on it. He's a total pothead. He's a surfer just a huge pothead, and he
Right.
talks like Spicoli.
I like
man.
him. I like him.
You're gonna like him already. That's him. And Dusty's the other guy. Dusty's the desert trooper.
Out, man.
So this is a perfect scenario for Dusty. That's Dusty. He's the desert trooper, so he loves being out here in the desert.
Yeah. Cute little guy, isn't
Footloose
he?
got a
I don't
little
know
scorpion.
I don't know about his mustache, man. That looks very like Italian or something.
There's a lot of questionable
Not
facial. There's a
surfer.
lot of questionable facial hair. In
Yeah, I
G.I.
think
Joe.
it was,
That's without a doubt.
Maybe because they are out in the desert so much, they don't have the sundries and the facilities of bathrooms like we do to take care of those things.
Well, maybe. I think
I've never seen anybody on the show use the bathroom.
on G.I. Joe, no.
Never.
No. And if they do,
Interesting.
it's probably for a gag, and it's going to explode.
I've also never seen children.
University children use the bathroom.
I've never seen children on the show.
Oh, on the show? Yes, they've had children.
They have?
Yeah. They definitely have children. They've been on there as usually hostages.
Have you ever seen them eating on G.I. Joe?
Yes, they eat all the time.
Okay.
Roadblock's a renowned chef.
Oh.
So a lot of times they'll end an episode with like, "Hey, here's a big meal, everybody."
Oh,
it depends
yeah.
on the scenario.
Well, that
But yeah.
brings people together.
Oh yeah, totally. So there's a scientist, and she had been helping Cobra design some weaponry. Right? She just punched Destro in the face, and it hurt her because Destro wears a completely metal mask.
Right.
Come on.
Why does she have to be a sexy scientist?
Well, because first of all, science is sexy.
Destro's
So any scientist is going to be attractive. Secondly,
Science is sexy?
science is super sexy.
Is that the name of your next album?
Yeah, it's my next podcast. Science is Sexy with Joe Slepsky.
a G.I. Joe.
And secondly, how are you going to have a romance if you don't have a sexy scientist?
I see,
mean, all the
I see,
guys
I
are
see.
sexy, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's why I think this is a very, very, like a very gay-centric show, really.
Well, it's funny
In
you
ways.
say that. We have a lot of our guests have been of the gay persuasion, gentlemen who prefer the company of men, and they've been fans of the show.
Yeah.
I think it's more of when you're getting into G.I. Joe and you're getting into superhero stuff. Everyone's just super fit. So everyone looks good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's G.I. Joe's also
ooh.
super inclusive.
Yeah.
It's
That's nice.
Yeah, it really is. There's always a strong female presence, and she needs to be rescued here, but she's strong. She throughout the rest of the show, you'll see, she's getting rescued by Footloose and Dusty right now. But Lady J and Scarlet and CoverGirl, they're always a presence on the show, and they're
Interesting.
always a force, and they always have agency, as they like to say these days.
Oh, wow, bells
Not to
and
mention the
whistles,
Baroness,
like
who's the
we're
queen,
all
the
impressed
Queen
now,
Bey
man.
of Cobra.
Wow.
So she's strong, evil, but
I see.
strong.
I see.
So they're
Okay, they got her out of there.
yeah, we're in a firefight. Footloose is scaling the outside of the building, and Dusty's going to follow him. Dusty's action figure had the coolest little thing that I loved about it. They gave him actual cloth on the back of his helmet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he was, a little 3 3/4 figure,
Yeah.
hard plastic.
Nancy Winters.
But then, like, he was the one
Dr.
dude who
Winters
had a
to
little
you.
bit that
The
little,
hair.
yeah, you can see it on the show. It's not hair. It's like a desert.
Oh, a
canopy
desert, the
thing.
desert thing. Yeah,
to
people
keep
wear
the
the
sun off them.
in tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, my tennis
Yeah,
friends wear those.
the little 3 3/4 had it, and I always thought that was such a little detail that made him stand out, and just was so great. Right now they stole a Cobra Jeep. They just blew up a Cobra Hiss tank, and they're making their escape into the deserts
They must not escape.
with Destro and Major Blood hot on their heels.
Wow.
This gets to be less fun every second.
There's a flamethrower Cobra. That's actually new. There's a Cobra Viper with a flamethrower, which is
They never
pretty
used
sweet.
that before?
No. I mean, it's not a like a.
Oh my gosh,
standard-
she just threw her out of the car.
Sure, because the car just
Didn't I
exploded.
tell you we'd be rescuing you?
Footloose, if you look closely, has like a life alert bracelet on.
Is she gonna wait, say it again?
He's like a life alert bracelet.
Yeah,
on,
I
like-
see that.
Like if he's found as an elderly man.
Yeah.
Don't move. You've stepped on
So
the line.
as they're making their escape, they encounter what is called a death zone, and it's a field full of mines. And we're going into commercial break with Footloose, the penultimate Stoller, about to meditate.
I see. Wow. Is she gonna take her hair down?
After these messages.
Today's Filecard Feature is on the Cobra Dreadnok, codename Monkeywrench. His file name is Bill Winky, and his place of birth is Ryle, North Wales. Monkeywrench was born in Rhyl, North Wales, where he built explosive devices indiscriminately for a group of obscure terrorists. Having made himself a pariah in his hometown by the age of 16, he drifted to London's East End to take part in a new wave movement, where he developed rudeness and crude antisocial behavior to levels unheard of in the Western Hemisphere. Eventually, his wanderings brought him to Australia, where he joined up with the Dreadnoks. Monkeywrench was born on Guy Fawkes Day, which in Britain commemorates the foiling of the gunpowder plot to blow up the Houses of Parliament. The villain, Guy Fawkes, is hanged in effigy amidst the continuous detonation of fireworks. Could this explain Monkeywrench's preoccupation with explosives and loud noises? His record collection is limited to the 1812 Overture, the Anvil Chorus, and Wipeout. Monkeywrench was one of the new wave of Dreadnoks that came out after Buzzer, Ripper, and Torch. He had a bandolier belt full of grenades on his chest. He wore a red vest and had a harpoon gun. Not an aquatic character, he carried a harpoon gun with a trident-like harpoon on the end, setting him apart from any other land-based fighters, certainly. He also rocked the Chachi Cola look. He had bandanas wrapped around his legs, which was very happy days for him. He's got bright red hair with a biker mustache and biker sunglasses. He's pretty sweet. Monkeywrench, we salute you.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Is she going to take her hair down now?
Of course she's going to take her hair down. And when you take your hair down, like every good 80s
Right.
and piece of entertainment, as soon as you
Right.
take the hair down, maybe take off the glasses, you're super hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
Super hot.
sure. Sure.
I mean, I'm wearing my glasses right now. If I were to take them off,
Yeah.
you'd be like, who invited George Clooney?
It's a different man.
Yeah,
Right.
like,
It's a,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
Same as this.
So Footloose has
like,
the brilliant idea
lift your
because she actually accidentally stepped on a mine. So Footloose has the brilliant idea to put a rock on the mine to kind of keep the weight, so the mine doesn't explode.
Follow the leader, single file.
And so he's going to use his laser to kind of blast a path through this death zone, as they like to call it.
They must not escape.
There is an actual mine trooper. Yeah, like a minesweeper trooper
Yeah.
that G.I. Joe had.
Yeah.
And they also had a there was also a vehicle that was like a mine exploding vehicle where it had a scoop on it, and you would scoop into the dirt, and it would enclose the mine, and the mine would explode around this metal, and then so it was like that movie.
Why did you take my phone off the table?
Oh, because it was buzzing. It was buzzing.
And you can hear it. It's
Yeah.
disturbing,
I didn't want it to get
I thought
picked
you
up
were
by the-
looking at me like, I don't want her to be distracted.
No, I didn't want to get picked up by the mics.
I know. It's like if you put your phone on silent, but your phone's on a cookie sheet, it's not really on silent.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
7, 6, 5,
So cobras
3.
are attacking this death zone field, and they're all making a run for it. And they know they're going to die, but Destro needs to get after these Joes. And so as they're rolling over this minefield, they all start exploding. And Destro's theory there is, we're going to send everybody, and 9 out of 10 people are going to die, but the one that gets through will still get these Joes.
Right.
It's not a big respect for his soldiers, I think.
Right.
Send our battalion to Destro. I think we lost them.
He's
If
so
that
angry.
woman escapes, she'll reveal
He's so
the
angry.
secrets of the plasma
Now-
cannon to G.I. Joe.
I want to know, does
She must not leave
Dust
the desert
get
alive.
underneath his metal mask? Like, he's out in the desert.
Well, that's where you're drawing the line. I mean, that's your question. I mean, there's
Oh, there's so many. I mean, there's so many.
I know,
questions,
I
but
mean-
we've asked so many questions. on the
right.
show.
I mean, there's like before I'd say that, I'd say like, well, how did they even, get in that plane?
What do you mean?
Well, like when they were up in that plane,
Yeah.
the first one,
Well, they were traveling to help. Like,
know, but it
well,
was-
actually, it's funny you mentioned that. So we just caught up with him. That's Flint right there. That's Bill.
Partners. What happened? Where's Dusty
And
Footloose?
they just landed the C-130. They were meeting the rest of the Joes at this airfield.
Yeah, I see.
In this Afghanistan country, wherever they're at. They don't really say. So Flint says, all right, we got a couple of Joes out there. We need to. My question is, why couldn't. You know what? I'll bet you the lightning knocked out. I was just going to say, why couldn't Wild Bill have radioed ahead? I'll bet you the lightning knocked out the radio. I bet you that's what happened.
Well, yeah, but again, I just feel like it's semantics. I mean, there's so many problems. First of all, she's in heels.
Oh, sure. Well, it's
So how
Jurassic
is that
World.
happening?
Well, hey, listen, it just happened in Jurassic World last year. Literally last year.
Well,
So, if you know.
but like, even that, okay, they just jumped off of a sand dune and
Yeah.
went tumbling down the thing. But no, they're going to be jumped up. Now they're going to jump up and be able to run away and do.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, like,
They're
why
desert
do
troopers.
you question like sand under the mask or
'Cause we-
these details when there's so many other glaring
No, but
things that are not
because it's
in
those
sync.
it's those fun little details that
I see.
I like to dig into because there's always cartoon physics and there's
Yeah.
cartoon logic.
Right.
And that
Okay.
stuff
You have to throw logic out the window.
Yeah, that stuff, cartoon
that's
logic
different.
and cartoon
Okay.
physics, we just set aside. You know,
Right.
we assume that can happen.
Okay.
We know that there's one model sheet for this doctor, right?
Well, then-
so when they draw her with heels, we know that once she gets running out, because those heels would have been perfectly fine for her environment she was in.
Sure.
But as soon as they run her in the desert, they're not going to spend money to redraw and make her lose her heels. It's not, whatever. That's not a thing that's going to happen.
No more excuses. Resume
But what
the
I love
search
to
at
do
once.
is to kind of look at like some of the real world like logistics of things of like what dirt get like how it's also, by the way, it's also a completely malleable metal mask, which is you have to also give them a little leeway for that. But what we've got is Dusty just stole a stinger, and Footloose and the Doctor are making their way through the desert together.
Just keep on keeping on.
So this show is great because it gives real character spotlights to Dusty and Footloose.
I love the artwork in the background. It's so pretty.
JoJo's gorgeous.
The skies are beautiful.
Yeah, JoJo is really gorgeous animation. Some episodes you can see that they spent more money on, and so the actual animation is smoother. This one I think is one of the better ones. I think there's some really good looking looks to it.
It's really pretty, yeah.
Yeah, and you're also dealing with characters that don't get normally a lot of spotlight. So all of these animations had to be done fresh. They're not going to have a library of animations to draw from. Not that they did that a lot on this show. That's more of a He-Man thing.
Sure.
Everything's going to be fresh with these
Joe
guys.
will
We're going to go in a
return
commercial
after
with
these messages.
Footloose being attacked.
If anyone can stop Joe, it's Zartan. Evil master of disguise. Changes color before your eyes. Zartan. Zartan has an evil plan just for G.I. Joe. G.I. A real American hero, fighting against his new foe. Your plan is not working, Zartan. Wrong commander.
Watch, follow the further adventures of G.I. Joe and Marvel Comics. Now, back to G.I. Joe.
A sword-wielding, cloaked man just snuck up on Footloose and the Doctor and took them hostage. So that's where we're picking up after this commercial break. They're actually tied to some old posts. And the guy's got a scimitar.
Hey, what's your trip, man?
I am Jabal.
He's such a pothead, Christine.
Yes.
Hey, what's your trip, man? So this guy is Jafar, and he's very upset because Cobra's been kidnapping his people.
He looks like Jesus.
Right. Well, he realizes he sees the G.I. Joe insignia on Footloose' shoulder.
You are no cobra slime.
And here's what we learn.
Cruelties of these snake men have made me a bit fanatical. I'm afraid I did not see. You wear the same sign as the chariot which fell from the sky.
The Mauler
again?
from
This
earlier
way.
in the
I will
episode.
show you.
The tank that they dropped out.
Yeah.
It fell by his people. And
Well, that was convenient.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This show's a little. This episode's a little like I hate putting like the modern lens on things, but it's a little like kind of racist because he's like he calls it a chariot that fell out of the sky, and this dude's obviously educated.
Yeah.
Like this guy's the leader of these people, and he's like it's a chariot from the sky. Really, like it's because they've met like. Jungle civilizations that literally have had no experience. There was an episode where a satellite fell out and they thought the satellite was a god, and I bought that because they never had any exposure to the outside world. This guy's a learned leader of men, and is the crazy this chariot from the sky.
Yeah.
Like maybe
A little
not
dramatic.
Yeah, maybe not. But he's really good at taking out trouble bubbles.
Perish the enemies of Jabbar.
He does look good. He reminds me of that character from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade that was part of the knights, the people who protected the Grail, and he was attacking India on the boats, and they were in Venice, and the boat was getting chopped up, and he was
Good memory.
Indy had to convince him that he was only there to rescue his dad, and then at the end of the movie, he showed up. The guy showed up with his buddies and all the horses and everything, and they saved the day.
A mere trifle.
Good memory.
This has been fun, but we better split.
We just got a little hint that the doctor thinks Jafar is amazing. So I have a feeling that may come into play a little later, and that maybe Footloose and Dusty may not have the romantic getaway
Yeah.
that they.
Where are
hope
they?
so.
Did you say?
It's they don't really name it. I think I'm obviously
Middle East
on purpose, but it's a Middle East. Yeah, it's like a Afghan. I would honestly, based on the '80s and all the stuff that was going down back then, I would say actually Afghanistan probably makes the most sense. It's also it's mountainous. It is a little more primitive. Like it wasn't really built up then, and that was this time.
There goes your hair.
See, hair is down.
Be
Glasses just
patient,
came off
my
too.
desert
Yep,
flower.
glasses come off, hair is down.
What? You must
And
be
so who's
kidding.
super attractive?
Not at all.
That girl.
You are very,
Yeah.
very beautiful, Doctor.
Yeah, as evidenced by
Call
Jafar.
me Nancy.
She looks a little like Nicole Brown Simpson. What?
It's true. You're right. You're right. I hope she's wearing a very secure neck guard.
Here, what? That's
what?
crazy talk. I'm just
crazy
saying she
talk?
looks.
You just mentioned
That's
the
what she
most-
looks like. Now everybody out
It's
there who's
true.
listening, if they're not seeing the podcast or they're not watching the show, they know who she looks like.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely. But you can't mention Nicole Brown Simpson without talking about the fact that she got her neck cut open by OJ.
Yes, you can. People know that. You don't have to say it.
So Cobra's caught up with the crew,
No
And,
more running.
and Dusty's had enough. He's going to make his final stand, and they start having a laser combat with the Joes and Cobra in the desert. And just like our friend from Indiana Jones, here comes Jafar, and it's like the cavalry. And we've got the Mauler, Footloose driving the Mauler, Jafar and his horse, and they're gonna destroy. So that cannon, that's the special device that
I see.
scientists created for him. And she warns him that it's pretty tough. Like it's an advanced tank. So now we're getting some tank warfare, which is interesting. We don't see a ton of tank warfare on the show. Usually it's just ships attacking and one of them blows up. This is like actual. I need to get around you. I need to get being strategic about where they're at.
What a bummer.
And the Footloose takes a nice hit on the Mauler. Things are not looking good for the Joes. Have you ever been in a desert like this? Like,
Yes.
Have you ever? Have
yes.
you?
Yes.
How do you? Can you run on it like that?
Yes.
Or do you
Well,
sink in every step, or what's that all about?
Well, I'm trying to think. I was in Oman 2 years ago, and we chased a camel. Not chased it. It was near the water, but we kind of ran down to it. But it was kind of a hard path that we were on. But on either side of us, was sand. That we would just sink down. Yeah, you pretty much would just sink in. It depends on what kind of desert. If there's a lot of wind, then it might be those sand might be dispersed.
And underneath the sand, is it?
It could be hard clay. It could
So
be
it's clay?
Yeah,
Like
I don't
a
know.
clay
I don't
rock,
know
or- but
exactly. But I'm
it's-
just saying it's kind of like the beach, right? You're on
Yeah.
hard sand or soft
Yeah.
sand. It's the same kind of principle.
And I've always hated walking or running up beach.
Well,
hills.
it's really
Is it the
strenuous.
same? Yeah, it's the
It's
same
very
thing,
strenuous,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
In that situation.
Yeah. Well, the doc gave Footloose she gave him a hint that the rear of the tank was not as shielded as the front, so he
I
was
see.
able to maneuver back there, and he blasted it out of the desert sand.
Oh man. He
Destro
is
runs away, making his
So
escape.
scary looking.
You will live to regret this day, fools!
Oh, wow. We'll be quaking in our sneakers, man.
See, that's awesome. Like
Mm.
just having a stoner. Hey, man.
Yeah, we'll be
That makes me
quaking in
laugh.
our sneakers.
So now the Joes have finally caught up with the guys.
Only I don't think you're gonna believe it.
And they have this entire battalion of Cobra soldiers.
What on earth? What is this, a
captured.
rescue mission or a parade?
That's
And-
Ratner, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're getting a big celebration. This is at Jafar's place because now they now freed all those people that Cobra had been kidnapping.
Deeply
For
deluded, she winked at me.
and Dusty and Footloose are arguing about who she was most attracted to. Who do you think? Who do you think she's going to go for? Is she going to go for Dusty?
Yeah.
Or is she
No,
going to go
no.
for Footloose?
She's
the
gonna go
stoner?
for Footloose.
You
Yeah,
think so?
of course.
Okay, well, we're going to find out.
Rightful monarch of
This guy comes out looking like
My friend.
the 7-Up guy.
She's gonna go for Jabal.
Yes. Of course.
Jabal. That is. He looks like the 7-Eleven guy.
You remember
Joe.
talking? No. The guy from the movie when he was in the movie Annie.
My desert flower.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All
You
right.
remember the 7-Eleven guy? He just passed recently, and he played Daddy Warbucks' assistant in the movie Annie, and he dressed just like that guy.
I'm not following, but that's all right.
All right. So yeah, she went with Jafar,
Right. Wow.
and that's it.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
That was. Oh
Return
my gosh.
after
It was
these
out just
messages.
as fast as it started.
Yeah.
They
Boom.
go. They go. It's like intro,
Intro,
act 2, outro.
outro. A little bit
Credits.
of action in there. They focus on some toys. You got to see the Mauler in action, which is exciting. Probably sold a few Mauler units for him.
Wow.
Focused on at the time, Dusty and Footloose would have been newer figures that hit the stands.
Yeah.
So it moved a few units for them and had a fun little story, like, let's go out in the desert and have
And
some
this
romance.
is mid 80s. This was
This
made.
would have been 1985.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This would have actually aired like December of 85.
Yeah.
Like right around that time. Maybe January of 86, but I think December 85. Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of people who are G.I. Joe fans, so you've definitely captured a niche here. This is fun.
Well, I listen. I'm so happy you joined me.
Thanks,
This is,
me too.
This one I like experiencing it with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And sharing it with people because I think it's charming. I think there's a lot to like about it.
Fun.
So Christine Blackburn, host, creator, writer of Storyworthy. Find her on iTunes and leave her a review on iTunes. Go
That
to
always
iTunes.
helps.
Yeah, always helps. Review, or if you're on Stitcher, leave a review. Anywhere you're getting your podcast from, leave a review for Storyworthy. Leave a review for Joe on Joe. Help support, help grow. Tell your friends and listen to Storyworthy and send her a tag. Reach out and say you heard her on the show
Yay.
because she deserves it. And listeners, you deserve to hear a good storytelling podcast. So go out and do that. Thank you again for listening every week. Now you, Joe, and Joeing is half the battle.